Hello, my name is Luke Angstadt, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence, the Bible, the technological singularity, and how we don't have to be afraid about what's happening in our world right now once we understand how the game is being played. And we are being played, and it's all a game. But without any further ado, I want to play a short little snippet from a conversation between Joe Rogan and Donald Trump that was recorded a little over a month ago. So I'm going to play like just a few seconds of this, maybe 20 seconds or so.
Were just incredible. The way they move, the way they strike, it's just amazing. The UFC is doing an incredible job. They're making it better and better every year.
Yeah, it's really something. I have to say, I was a little surprised.
So what makes this so interesting is that it didn't happen. You know, Joe Rogan and Donald Trump, they didn't sit down and then talk about the UFC, and it goes on about social media and everything that, Donald Trump and his Twitter escapades, but the point is none of it ever happened. And the bigger point is that if someone didn't know that this wasn't real, no one would suspect that it's a fake, that it's a simulation. Now, in 1950, Alan Turing, who was one of the pioneers in artificial intelligence research, mathematician, computer scientist, absolutely brilliant, worked with the United States military during World War II as a code breaker. He devised something called the imitation game, or the Turing test. And how it works is that in order for artificial intelligence to pass the Turing test, it needs to be able to simulate reality with such precision and sophistication that a human being with our five senses would not suspect that it's a fake. Again, he devised this test in 1950. So it's been a long time where people, mathematicians, computer scientists, researchers into artificial intelligence, since the beginning of the 20th century, it didn't take them very long to see that there would come a day in the not too distant future where artificial intelligence would be able to fool human beings into believing that something is real that's not real. This kind of segues me into John von Neumann in the 1950s, who incidentally also worked with Nikola Tesla. John von Neumann was another one of the pioneers, mathematicians, computer scientists, pioneers in artificial intelligence research. He coined the term technological singularity. And again, the technological singularity is that point in the not too distant future when artificial intelligence and technology will so far exceed human beings' ability to maintain a symbiotic relationship with it. And I would position that there's no better definition of the technological singularity than the point at which artificial intelligence can simulate reality to the point where human beings don't know what's faked or not. And this video between Donald Trump and Joe Rogan, which never happened, again, it's just one example of the potential that artificial intelligence has. And it's just the tip of the iceberg. But what it's telling us, what it's telling the human race, is that the potential for the manipulation of perception on a global level today is limitless. And it has been for quite some time. Now, most people's initial response is to say, I'm scared. What do I do? And, it puts people into the spirit of fear. And when you're in the spirit of fear, you can't go forwards, you can't go backwards, you can't go anywhere. It's a state of mental, physical, and spiritual paralysis. But there's another way of looking at this too. What this tells us is that all information that we receive from a screen, whether it's a smartphone, a TV, a computer, a movie, even a radio, that information is suspect, meaning that we can't even make any kind of value judgment on it because artificial intelligence has the capability to simulate what we have hitherto referred to as everyday reality, which only God knows what that might be. But circling back to the fact that it can all be simulated. Every 30 seconds when we pull out our phone and we look at the latest news story, and it's just crazier than the last one that we looked at 30 seconds ago, and we say to ourselves, how on earth can that be true? Is that really true? Let me go check here. Let me cross-reference here, there, and the other place to see if this is actually true. The whole point of this is that we're being manipulated at such a degree, with such sophistication. It is so advanced. It's driven us as a species crazy since March of 2020, even before then. You think about since the lockdowns of March of 20 and how freaking crazy our world has gotten to the point where we all wake up in a state of disbelief each day, asking ourselves, pinching ourselves, is this actually happening? Now, circling back to this concept of the technological singularity, the Bible speaks of two singularities. In the book of Genesis, chapter 1, it's a singularity of darkness, where God, the Creator, creates the creation out of the formless void, which is a singularity of darkness. We see birth. We see it giving birth to our world of duality, the world of good and evil, light and dark, separating the night from the day, the land from the sea, the heavens from the earth. It is a singularity of darkness giving birth to our world of duality that we live in right now. Now, in the book of Revelation, chapter 21, we hear the description for the new heaven and the new earth. So after this veil of tears is wiped off the face of existence, we will be moving into a new heaven and a new earth, as prophesied in the book of Revelation. What is this new heaven? How is this new heaven and new earth described? It's described as a singularity of light, because in the new heaven and the new earth, there will be no need for the sun, there will be no need for the moon, there will be no need for a candlestick. The gates to the kingdom will always be open, and anybody who wants to partake of this new reality, this new heaven and new earth, can choose of it freely, can partake of it freely. And the reason there's no need for the sun and the moon and the candlestick and the gates are always open is because in this new heaven and new earth, God will be that light, and he will shine forever and ever, and there will be no night and there will be no day. What it's describing in Revelation is another singularity, a singularity of light. So what do we have here in the Bible? We have a singularity of darkness in Genesis chapter 1, giving birth to our world of duality, our world of contrast, good and evil, light and dark, man and woman, near and far. It's a world of duality. It's a world of contrast. And in the book of in Revelation chapter 21, it's describing either the death or the transformation of this world of duality, this present veil of tears that we're all inhabiting, into a singularity of light. So this idea of the technological singularity, it also, and I'm not going to get into it here, but it has parallels in Hinduism with the Great Wheel of Time and the four Yuga cycles, the Satya Yuga, the Devapara Yuga, the Treya Yuga, the age of Kali that we are presently living in, this age of war and pain and suffering and chaos and conflict that will eventually give birth to the Satya Yuga again. It also has parallels in Greek thought, the concept of the Golden Age of Atlantis and Hyperborea and Lemuria. We see it in the thought of Nietzsche. This idea of transformation into a new age, as Nietzsche traces the decay of human morality since the time of the pre-Socratics up until the end of the 19th century, where Nietzsche said that human beings' nature had become so debased that there would actually have to be an overman in the not too distant future that was able to overcome the human race's the base moral state to which human beings had plunged to. So this sense of transformation. I mean, obviously, look around. I mean, we don't have to go, and we don't even go back to March of 2020. But our world is being transformed. I mean, we are pioneers of pioneers right now in uncharted territory with artificial intelligence. So what I'm saying here, and I'm trying to make this as short and sweet as possible, is that this technological singularity has its fingerprints all throughout history. It has its fingerprints in the Bible. It has its fingerprints in Friedrich Nietzsche's thought. It has its fingerprints in Plato's thought. It has its fingerprints in the thought of Carlos Castaneda and the teachings of Don Juan. It has its fingerprints in all of Hindu thought. But again, circling back to it, once we understand how the game is played, the jig is up. I mean, we have been manipulated and raked over the coals for so long. And now there is tangible evidence on the internet. And again, this is this simulated conversation between Donald Trump and Joe Rogan that never happened. It's just one example, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. But it's tangible evidence that anybody can go and listen to it. And if they didn't have the foreknowledge that this was a simulation, no one would suspect it. I played this for more than 10 of my friends, not telling them that it was a simulation, saying, hey, by the way, Donald Trump and Joe Rogan had a conversation a little over a month ago. Did you hear anything about it? And they're like, oh, no, that sounds pretty cool. I didn't know Donald Trump sat down with Joe Rogan. So, I play him a couple segments of it. And they're like, oh, I didn't realize Donald Trump was a fan of the UFC. That's pretty cool. So he follows the UFC. And I'm like, well, wait a second. The reason that I shared this with you is not because Donald Trump's a fan of the UFC. It's because none of this ever happened. And some of my friends, I see the dawning realization and the implications, the ramifications, the significance of what this is. But just to recap again, this is how the game is played. Artificial intelligence is manipulating human perception 24/7. And again, it has the sophistication and precision to manipulate reality, to manipulate our perception to the point where human beings with their five senses don't know the difference between what is fake and what is real. So, long story short, every time you grab your phone, every 30 seconds or every 2 minutes or whatever the case may be, and you read something that is even more batshit crazy than the latest thing you read either 2 minutes ago or 30 seconds ago, keep in mind that I'm not even saying in all likelihood that it's a simulation. What I'm saying is that we have no way to tell anymore. We don't know. So where does this lead us to? What it's eventually going to lead to is that people are going to enough people are going to wake up to the fact that artificial intelligence has been manipulating us for who knows how long. And there's going to be a dawning realization with enough human beings that, okay, we can't trust the internet anymore. So what do we do? You know, is this really something that, you know, Joe Biden said, or Donald Trump said, or Ron DeSantis, or or whoever the case may be, or Justin Trudeau, or any famous political figure? I mean, anything and everything they say that we hear through a screen is now suspect. So once enough people realize that we can't trust the internet anymore, and you cannot trust artificial intelligence farther than you can throw it, there is going to be a movement back to building and nurturing the local community. It starts at a local level. Everybody's talking about, oh, it's a global community. No, it's not going to be for anymore. People are going to start getting to know their neighbors, building and nurturing relationships with their neighbors, and they're going to realize that that's all we have, is the relationships with our friends, our family, people we know, people we can look at and we can see it, we can hear them, we can touch them, we can hug them, we can have those real human interactions again. That's where all this is leading. That is the game. The potential to manipulate perception on a global reality, on a global level, is now limitless. Let that sink in. Thank you for your time today. And in the not too distant future, I will be getting into more details with the technological, with the correlations and parallels with history in regards to the technological singularity. Again, the singularity of light, the singularity of darkness, and also the parallels with Plato's thought when he was arguing for the immortality of the soul in the trial and death of Socrates. So I'm trying not to get too ahead of myself. But long story short, the point of this video is that the potential for manipulation is limitless now. And once enough people wake up to it, they're like, wow, so that's real. And then what does that mean? What it means is that we all, as a species, we need to take a deep breath and say, okay, this is what's going on. What do we do about it? It just means that you got to put these things away. I mean, everything that's coming out of this thing is designed to deceive and keep you in a state of fear. It's designed to keep you in the spirit of fear where you don't know where to go anywhere. But that is the game. So once enough of us wake up and see how the game is played, then the jig is up. Because the only way that people can control, the only way that the powers that be, the only way that the state as an institution, that the mainstream media as an institution, but primarily the state as an institution which controls the flow of information, the only way that they're able to keep this manipulation game going is because people don't know how the manipulation works. I mean, people know they understand, maybe subconsciously and unconsciously, that they're being manipulated. And most people know that they're being manipulated, but they don't know how the game is being played. So that's it in a nutshell. Once enough people wake up to how the game is being played, it's over. They have no power. So quit giving them your power. But that's how the game is played. So thank you for your time today, and hopefully there will be more to come of this. Ta-ta.